I'm joined by Shekhar Dutt. He's co-founder of Sleepy Classes. He runs a very, very popular YouTube channel that provides content for UPSC aspirants. And he has been very, very dismayed and upset by the Puja Khedkar incident. This entire news story has upset Shekhar Dutt very, very deeply. He's in fact put out a tweet saying this Puja Khedkar case might be the moment of the UPSC's fall from grace. He has also said it's an unbelievably sad day to be associated with UPSC preparation. And coming from someone like a Shekhar Dutt, who runs a UPSC aspirant YouTube channel which has 1 million subscribers, this is something to be taken very seriously. Mr. Dutt, welcome. Thank you for your time here on India Today. I want to start by asking you a very specific question. What kind of damage does the Puja Khedkar incident, this story, do in the minds of genuine UPSC aspirants of the kind that you serve?
It's like when we see students from the Hindi belt particularly, and they are the ones who rely very heavily on this particular exam, UPSC, and they dream of it, even when they have cracked IITs or even when they've gone to IIMs. They still want to make it through UPSC and become an IAS officer. And we have 3 I's in India. One is said to be IIT, then IIM, and the biggest of them all is IAS.
Yes.
And we have seen so many memes, so many videos of people wanting to be an IAS officer. And it's like something more than a job, very sacrosanct. And yesterday when it started, a couple of days ago, when the news started breaking out, and my Twitter account, my inbox was full of a lot of questions that UPSC also is now falling, or perhaps like UPSC is also in the same league where we have put other agencies, for example, NTA. It was on a higher pedestal, above everything else, beyond question. And suddenly now there's a trust deficit. I want to see it as an outsider. I'm not an insider. I barely know anyone working in a ministry or anywhere else. I see it as an outsider, and I want to keep preparing students. I've been preparing students for the last more than a decade now.
Yes.
And I've made attempts in UPSC. I've appeared in interviews. And it's an immaculate agency work, and we work with retired bureaucrats to conduct interviews. And it's an immaculate agency, one of the best in the nation. And but this particular thing has put the entire credibility in question. And suddenly it's like I teach sociology in particular, and there's a particular concept given by a Harvard scholar, Theda Skocpol, and she says only 2 things are required to run a nation smoothly. 2 resources. One is human resource and one is financial resource. We are pretty confident when it comes to financial resources, because we raise a lot of finances from within, taxing, etc. We do complain about it often. But the human resources were the benchmark. One of the best recruiting agencies in the world, UPSC, often being called the toughest exam and all. And then there were stories, Barmi fail and all. And suddenly the dream seems to be vanishing. Suddenly it feels
which is what I want to ask you, Mr. Dutt. You know, students, and I know students, because there were many people in my batch who chose to take a year off, study for the civil services exam, had many different reattempts. I don't know what the limit on reattempts is, but I know people who have exhausted all the reattempt options as well. It's a sacrifice that students make. I mean, ultimately, there are many different services, but since we're speaking about the IAS, if I'm not mistaken, 180 annually are admitted into the Indian Administrative Service. What would be going through the minds of those students? You are in touch with many of those students. When they see a story like this must be shattering.
Exactly. One of the things was it is assumed to be pretty common in state exams, in state services, but never in UPSC. UPSC is above everything else. I recently conducted a session with students, and the students were worried. And there's this particular case which one of the parents asked, and to one of my colleagues, it was about a parent, one of the fathers, a student's father, he called them up and he was asking, अगर आप कुछ करवा सकते हो तो करवा देना, हम पैसे लगा देंगे. That's the kind of trust deficit that has started coming in now, because such news and the trust of years is gone. We have subjects like ethics. I particularly spend a lot of time wanting to create a batch of bureaucrats, those who go down to the grassroots and serve the nation. But suddenly, even I'm in a dilemma. What exactly are we able to achieve? Has it been able to make any difference?
This is extremely distressing, and I'm getting a lot of messages as as we roll this show, Shekhar, and I can tell you that students are tuning in and they're actually thanking me for getting someone like you on board, because they are looking for some kind of reassurance as well. Shekhar, a lot of drama, obviously, as you can see, is playing out in this story, because tempers are up, people are obviously upset, the family is upset, and that is understandable, because ultimately it is their daughter who is now in the spotlight. But these are legitimate questions that the media is asking, because ultimately one out of one, even like you said, the IAS is sacrosanct, the UPSC is sacrosanct. If 1 out of 180 seats is proven to be compromised in the kind of brazen manner in which we believe it might have been, as per these allegations, then it means the entire system is broken, Shekhar. Do you agree with me? Because, like you said, like our reporter said, one of the examples, let me take, and I'll let you answer, Mr. Dutt, is using disability to get certain concessions to be selected into the UPSC, and then refusing to turn up for those tests to prove that disability. Then providing an MRI from a private hospital, which is not acceptable, not eligible as proof, but somehow it gets accepted, and then, she is selected into the IAS. This means that there are many people up the chain of command within the system who are also tainted. It's not just Puja. She couldn't have acted alone. There are many people.
It does raise a lot of questions, that's right. But UPSC, to be particular, it's a very student-friendly organization, institution. And one of those institutions which really goes outside and even to help a student. For example, if a student fails to submit a particular kind of a certificate, they usually give you time. Even if, let's say, if you have to, submit a certificate and appear for the interview, and if you fail to do so, they reschedule your interviews, and they're very accommodating. UPSC is very accommodating. One of the best institutions that I've seen working in the country. But yes, and when it comes to medical, I want to share this particular thing. They do not really even accept, let's say, for example, if I'm wearing glasses, specs, and if I tell them that I've gotten this inspected, checked from outside, they do not even accept my number of specs, and they do it themselves. So they're very particular about it. So it does raise a lot of questions how this entire thing, if it's true, how it unfolded, and would of course require a lot of interrogation and introspection.
One final question, Mr. Dutt, in that case is, if the investigation is currently on, she's still on probation, she's been transferred, from Pune now to, what is being seen as some kind of a punishment posting away from the media glare, etc. But if these allegations against her are proven true, and I want to be careful because they are still in the realm of allegation, there's an investigation going on. If they are proven to be true, what, in your view, needs to happen? My personal view as a lay person is, if the entire basis on which she was selected and brought into the IAS is a falsehood, then she has no business being in the IAS. She should be sacked and she should be booked for criminal charges. Do you think the same, or do you think differently?
That's correct. If the certificates are false, if the certificates are fake, as actions and even maybe sacking her would be the right thing to do. But it has never happened in the history of civil services. I tried researching it. It has never happened when a probationer got maybe sacked. Because it's really tough to sack a bureaucrat, and once UPSC recommends someone and the OPT approves it, and once you're in the field, it's almost impossible to sack you on the basis of your conduct. So yeah, criminal charges, etc., might really help in that case. But yeah, it's important. I was wondering.
Yeah. Yes, continue your point, sir.
Yeah, there's this particular thing that we do talk about a lot of bureau reforms required in bureaucracy, but this is a new kind of thing which has come up, which has turned up. India is particularly witnessing a lot of students wanting to get into government jobs, and India does have a lot of population, young population, wanting to become officers. Very talented people, very enthusiastic people. As you said, they spend a lot of time and even years waiting to crack this exam. So
absolutely,
if such a thing comes out to be true, it will be really disheartening for a lot of people, because my Twitter inbox particularly is full, and there are a few selected students who are in touch with me on WhatsApp. They're sending me a lot of stories of genuine people who could not make it through because their certificates were not accepted to be valid.
Exactly.
So in that case, it will be a double jeopardy kind of a thing, or somebody gets through and somebody who was legitimate, who was valid, could not.
At a time when student anger is at a peak over the entire NEET issue, at a time when faith in the education ministry, the education system, the competitive exam system is already running through a lot of turbulence. If the sacrosanct UPSC is proven to have been completely gamed, rigged and compromised by Puja Khedkar, then I have no choice but to agree with Shekhar Dutt here when he says that this could be the downfall of the UPSC. And I feel for him when he says it's a sad day to be part of the UPSC entrance system right now. Remember that Shekhar Dutt sits on the other side. He's helping people actually take the exam in a legitimate, honest and decent manner. But then you have people like Puja Khedkar who allegedly did exactly the opposite. Imagine what goes through the minds of those who are targeting one of just 180 available spots in the IAS every single year. We leave it there, Shekhar Dutt. Appreciate you joining me and giving me your thoughts on this. I have a feeling that we're going to be speaking more often as we continue to talk about this story. Thanks very much for the moment.